If you eat too many ultra-processed foods, you could be starving your gut microbes, and they'll get hangry. That's one of many things I learned after working on a new audio course about the gut microbiome. You can learn how to keep your gut happy by listening to Try This from the Washington Post. I'm Christina Quinn. I host Try This. Dig in with me on practical advice for life's common challenges. Follow Try This right now wherever you're listening. Seriously, try it.
It's KFI AM 640, and you're listening to The Conway Show on demand on the iHeartRadio app.
We talked to Foosh, who is our devoted sound engineer from his hospital bed. That was in hour one. We also talked to Dr. Jeff Werber, the noted veterinarian. Talked about the state of veterinary care now, a couple of specific tips also for pets in the heat. I thought the thing that was the takeaway on pets on the heat is the way sidewalks and asphalt heats up to really dangerous heat. You can really do damage to your dogs by walking them on that heat even after sundown, because the heat is retained in a lot of that concrete. So it's that 7-second thing. If you put your hand down on the pavement, you can hold it there for 7 seconds. Then, as the doctor was saying, then it's okay to walk the dog on that pavement. If you can't hold it there 7 seconds, then that pavement can really damage your dog's paws. Anyway, this heat wave continues into tomorrow, into the first part of the weekend. It breaks a bit on Sunday. ESPN is making some changes, and the NFL making some changes. Male NFL cheerleaders. Yeah. Your prayers have been answered.
Touchdown, Vikings! This morning, just weeks before the NFL regular season kickoff, some teams are already playing defense after announcing male cheerleaders would be joining their squads. Shortly after, the Minnesota Vikings posted this video to social media featuring cheerleaders Blaze Sheik and Louis Kahn. Online backlash and hateful comments swiftly followed. One user commenting, "How embarrassing." Another writing, "I just lost all of my respect for the Vikings."
What? You know, in college, if you look along the college sidelines, there are male and female cheerleaders that, they're like, I would call them gymnasts almost. It's the stuff they do, that pyramid thing, tossing somebody up to the top, tossing them back down again. I mean, it is kind of part of college sports.
The Vikings organization quickly defending their cheerleaders, saying in a statement, male cheerleaders have been a part of previous Vikings teams and have long been associated with collegiate and professional cheerleading. Adding, "We support all our cheerleaders and are proud of the role they play as ambassadors of the organization." Sheik and Khan appearing to take subtle jabs at haters, sharing this photo in their uniforms, writing,
We've had experiences like this since the time we started dancing growing up, far before we became NFL cheerleaders.
Speaking with GMA overnight, Philadelphia Eagles cheerleaders Alex, Dalton, and James sharing a message for their colleagues.
We know what it feels like to feel that somebody doesn't support you for simply doing something that you enjoy. And so it's been really a pleasure to be on a team that has multiple boys where we can fall back on each other.
I will say this, though. I do associate, and maybe this is just because of television, I do associate NFL with female cheerleaders. I just do. I'm just used to seeing the Dallas Cowboy cheerleaders are the big thing. The Dolphins cheerleaders. They were like, they were almost franchises unto themselves. So, I mean, don't get me wrong, not dumping on this if this is the new jam, but I'm just saying it is true as a regular football viewer that I'm used to seeing, I'm accustomed to seeing the women with the pom-poms and stuff. And look, maybe that's old school and maybe I'm a dinosaur and, but I'm just saying that's what I've become accustomed to. Maybe I get accustomed to new stuff. But this is apparently controversial. I mean, I'm not going to go on social media and dump on them. I don't get that. I mean, this society has really lost its mind. Like when people have time to go on and sort of make these people the source of derision, it's just kind of crazy. But it is also true that I associate the NFL with female cheerleaders. ESPN and the streaming service launching.
New chapter in the streaming wars starts tomorrow, and it's all about the power of the bundle to reduce churn. The launch of ESPN, the Unlimited app for $30, marks the start of Disney's aggressive rebundling. Subscribers to ESPN also get Disney Plus and Hulu for no additional fee for $30 for the first year. Disney is also bundling its new Unlimited ESPN app plus Fox One for $40 and is pairing its ESPN app with NFL Plus also for $40.
Yeah, that's not at all complicated. That sounds very straightforward. I could almost follow like the last couple of bits of that bundle. But what they want you to do is stay on this sort of constellation of things that they own. And now Disney owns a ton of stuff to help monetize what are these acquisitions that Disney has made. I mean, they control the mediascape in a large way.
Plus Fox One for $40 and is pairing its ESPN app with NFL Plus also for $40.
Okay.
This is all part of Disney's plan to supercharge its streaming bundle to make those subscribers as loyal as cable subscribers were for decades. ESPN, which collected the highest fees from the pay TV bundle, peaked at about 100 million TV subscribers in 2011, a number which declined to 61 million as of this June.
Wow. Is that right? They went from 100 million to 61 million?
Peaked at about 100 million TV subscribers in 2011.
Okay. And then, from 2011 to today.
A number which declined to 61 million as of this June.
Yeah. I mean, in 2011, it was a totally different landscape. I get it.
So will unlimited streaming ESPN accelerate cord cutting? Moffat Nathanson doesn't expect it to because the price is high. And without a TV bundle, you'll need 8 streaming subscriptions to watch every major U.S. sporting event, plus YouTube Sunday Ticket for out-of-market NFL games.
Now, does everybody here still have cable? Does anybody cut the cord at all to get YouTube TV or streaming some other way? Or you guys, I mean, I still have cable for the internet. I have cable for, but I did.
I haven't had cable for 20 years.
Okay.
Really?
Yeah, true.
I have it all. I have cable. I have it all.
Yeah.
Yeah, I cut that cord 20 years ago.
And you don't miss it?
Not a bit. I definitely don't miss them bills.
Yeah, I mean, it's expensive. It's expensive just to have the internet, and they smack you hard. And I don't know that the internet service is so great, but the thing that they've done here, where they've kind of bundled stuff together, it gets harder. It feels like 3-card Monty, when there's sort of like, oh, you can have this for $40 or this for $30. Your NFL out of market games. We have this is Hulu and Disney Plus and Bravo. I mean, it's really difficult to not end up like Sharon Bellio and just have everything. Because
I started getting streaming when it really started becoming, and about a year ago, I guess, is when I really started to notice the mergings of streaming apps, and I got lost, and sometimes I feel like I'm positive that I paid for the same streaming more than once.
Thank you. That's exactly what I'm getting at. I'm certain that I'm duplicating, and I'm also certain that they won't tell me, you're actually paying for Hulu, and it's in your bundle. But ESPN is a big draw. Live sports is a big draw. That's why it's a huge part of this Disney bundle.
ESPN chief Jimmy Pitaro telling us, quote, there are more bundling opportunities out there. We're in conversations right now, and we think there could be more opportunities for the sports fan as we move forward. So look out for some deals, potentially bundles, maybe with the likes of Peacock, which has the NBA and the Olympics, or Paramount Plus.
Oh, that's true. Yeah. And then there's sort of event-specific things, pay-per-view specific things. It's pretty wild. Yeah. When we come back, what's happening with those towers downtown? The ones that are all graffitied up. They've been vandalized. They've been abandoned. We'll update you on that as we continue. Also, why Bed Bath & Beyond won't open new stores in California. We'll tell you that as
If you eat too many ultra-processed foods, you could be starving your gut microbes, and they'll get hangry. That's one of many things I learned after working on a new audio course about the gut microbiome. You can learn how to keep your gut happy by listening to Try This from The Washington Post. I'm Christina Quinn. I host Try This. Dig in with me on practical advice for life's common challenges. Follow Try This right now wherever you're listening. Seriously, try it.
As well.
You're listening to Tim Conway Jr. on demand from KFI AM 640.
Bed Bath & Beyond is not going to be opening new stores in California. Why would that be? Executive Chairman Marcus Lemonis said the decision isn't political. It's a response to the state's unfriendly business environment. California has created, this is a quote, one of the most overregulated, expensive, and risky environments for business in all of America. It's a system that makes it harder for companies to employ people, harder to keep doors open, and harder to deliver value to customers. He said the retailer, Bed Bath & Beyond, will have stores in almost every other state. Again, they are trying to make a comeback. They filed bankruptcy, what was it, 2 years ago?
I'm sure that was California's fault, though.
Yeah, exactly. I do think that,
It gets a little old after a while.
Right. If you look around the block, there are other businesses that are open. I'm just saying. I mean, I don't dispute the fact that there is,
right.
A continuing regulatory environment here that isn't making it a breeze to open and keep businesses open. But, as Crow sort of hints, just saying, maybe you can zig and zag and make. I used to love Bed Bath & Beyond. Maybe my favorite store.
Always fun to walk around.
Yeah.
Big old loop.
Yeah.
Buying stuff you don't even possibly need.
Exactly. That is truly. Well, don't we need some linen napkins, though? Seriously. Well, we have some linen napkins. Yeah, well, we don't have these. You see how they've got the orange embroidery?
Look at these lampshades and mug racks.
Doesn't the garage need some of these lampshades? Yes, exactly, because that's where they're going to end up, in the effing garage. Anyway, so don't look for Bed Bath & Beyond to be back anytime soon. Delta is getting sued along with United Airlines. They are sued by passengers who claim they paid extra money to sit in window seats only to find themselves placed in seats next to a blank wall. The inhumanity. To be fair, if you're paying for a window seat, dude, you got to give us a window seat. It's that simple. Apparently, they are seeking millions of dollars in damages for more than 1 million passengers at each carrier. This is a class action, right? These are people who all fall into the class of angry passengers who want some kind of accommodation. The complaints say that some Boeing 737, 757, and Airbus A321 planes contain seats that would normally contain windows, but lack them because of the placement of air conditioning ducts and other electrical conduits, things like that. Passengers say that Delta and United do not flag these seats during the booking process, so you end up paying sometimes hundreds of dollars for these seats that are by a window, and there is no window. And by the way, before you say, well, there's nothing that can be done, I mean, it's a computer program, well, other carriers do something, and they don't have this issue, like Alaska Airlines, American Airlines. So Delta, based in Atlanta, United in Chicago, they, I would imagine, will make some deal, and everybody in that class action suit will get, 63 cents, and the lawyers will do very well. And maybe it does send a message, to clean up your act. Maybe it's not about what you actually walk away with in terms of a check to accommodate the problem, but it sends a message like, hey, this is serious. You're charging passengers more money for a service you're not providing, in effect. EV pickups are a bust.
I'm following these companies closely, and when the unit sales numbers come out every month, I'm shocked to see how small they are for EVs in general, but also the fact that all these companies have tried to get in with pickup trucks first. Why is that?
I think when you had announcements from Rivian and Tesla early on that they were going to go with trucks, I think what everybody figured is the U.S. pickup market is so big that even if a small portion of it went electric, you would still get a pretty big chunk of buyers. And you had all of these reservations, people paying $100 to Tesla or Ford for the Lightning. Tesla said 1 million people. Ford said 150, 200,000 people had reservations.
Well, I mean, no offense, but that Tesla pickup that's kind of a bust for reasons that seem to have nothing to do maybe with the overall market. I mean, first of all, things like $125,000 just to get into the driveway. Then there are issues with it falling apart, with the cosmetics of it. I got it, that it's sort of this futuristic thing. Maybe it was cool for an hour. And then, Musk got to be controversial, et cetera. But point is, I don't know if that's, the bellwether. I don't know if that's your litmus test for how well it's doing. Now, you can, the other stuff that he's talking about, which is, counting the number of units sold, that says a lot. But I've seen some gorgeous pickup trucks that are EVs. Gorgeous. But I mean, again, those are just pickup trucks that would be gorgeous with a combustion engine in them, too. But with the price of gas being what it is in California, I would think this would be a really great alternative. I mean, you're not getting great gas mileage in a pickup truck to begin with. I would think an EV would really give you a chance to, operate a huge, gorgeous pickup truck far more economically.
Tesla said 1 million people. Ford said 150, 200,000 people had reservations. And they tooled up production for that, and GM piled in, and everybody said, geez, this is really going to hit. But those reservations didn't really turn into sales for a variety of reasons. One is pickup trucks lose a lot of their range when you're towing or hauling something, and not everybody uses. In fact, the majority of pickup owners probably never haul or tow anything, but they like the fact that they can, and those who do, particularly commercial users, say they just don't get enough range. They don't get enough driving range when they're actually doing the work their truck needs.
No, that makes sense. That makes sense. Okay, that's one ding on it, yeah.
And there are political reasons, too, Matt. Republicans tend to buy pickup trucks, or I should say pickup buyers tend to be more Republican than not, and EV buyers tend to be more Democrats than not, and a little bit of a disconnect there, so people just haven't bought them in big numbers, and everybody is struggling to sell them.
Nonetheless, the industry keeps...
I hate that about America right now. I just hate that you're evaluating me based on the car I'm... Now, look, people have always, the curb appeal of a car or whatever, that's always been something. Let's face it. The cars are repping sort of a personal profile. There have been huge studies on this, and the marketing of these vehicles all has to do with, you want the car to look good and kind of be consistent with who you are, whatever it might be. But the idea somehow that politics has so completely infected every bit of life so that they can't sell EVs because that's a Democratic thing? Seriously? I don't know, man. So pay $5 at the pump, $4.50 at the pump. It's just seems like and pickup trucks are a GOP thing, Republican thing? Really? I think pickup trucks they're like everybody. I know tons of people at pickups who don't even use that bed very much. They always say, you don't think you're going to use it, but you do actually. You don't think you're going to... Okay. Right. You're buying it for the cabin, dude. I can tell you're... And the look, I get it. It's part of the thing. But I just hate the politics entering into it. Just stinks,
To sell them.
Nonetheless, the industry keeps pushing towards this. In fact, I was talking to Jim Farley yesterday. He was out at Pebble Beach, and he's touting this new affordable, it's a mid-size pickup, so not a full-size American machine, but a mid-size pickup that they'll build in Kentucky for $30,000. Why do they continue to push towards this goal?
Well, price is one of the big problems with pickup trucks. I mean, you look at GM's trucks, for example, they can go 500 miles on a charge, the Silverado and the GMC Sierra EVs. That's quite a ways. And they do lose a lot of their range when you're towing a decent amount of weight, but that's still 300 miles you can go if you're hauling something. That's pretty good, but the trucks are very expensive. So if you're a fleet buyer or if you're just an individual consumer, you're looking at paying another $10,000, $20,000 for the electric version, and you don't really get anything more for that other than EVs are pretty fun to drive, but a lot of truck owners also like the hum of their V8 too, as opposed to the silence of an electric motor.
And you ought to put that what is that thing they've got, the Fratstronic on the Daytona, the Dodge Daytona, the EV. It's an electric muscle car, and it has a speaker. It'll sound like there's a rumble next to you. Yeah. You ought to put that on it. Well, so basically the end of that story is they're looking at building out the smaller pickup trucks that are EVs, and maybe there's a consumer market for that. But it's interesting to see that this market that I thought would really be open to the kind of, I think, fast, aggressive sales that accompanied a lot of the other EV sales is not there. It's just not there. The market's not what it should be. You know, you get that kind of range. That's 500 miles, 400 miles. You don't get that on a regular EV typically. I mean, I guess the Lucid has it maybe, and some of them coming out have a little bit more. But there's a lot great about these electric pickup trucks, but they just can't move them off the lot. And so maybe the smaller pickups that are EVs will do better. But that's the word on that. The timeshare controversy. We'll tell you this.
If you eat too many ultra-processed foods, you could be starving your gut microbes, and they'll get hangry. That's one of many things I learned after working on a new audio course about the gut microbiome. You can learn how to keep your gut happy by listening to Try This from the Washington Post. I'm Christina Quinn. I host Try This. Dig in with me on practical advice for life's common challenges. Follow Try This right now wherever you're listening. Seriously, try it.
Story next.
You're listening to Tim Conway Jr. on demand from KFI AM 640.
You can check out my show podcast called The Mark Thompson Show. We go live every day, Monday through Friday. We're at 11 to 1 on the West Coast, 2 to 4 on the East Coast.
Happy National Radio Day, Mark.
It is National Radio Day. Thank you very much, Michael Crozier, in our KFI newsroom. There's a certain magic in the hallway here on National Radio Day, you know? The kind of lackadaisical, just routinely filling out your time card sort of attitude goes away on National Radio Day. There's certain bounce in our step. Yeah.
See more people post pictures of them in front of a soundboard.
It is so
the
funny.
obligatory shot.
Yes. The throwback shots are a true kick. Like, you check them out on Instagram. You can find them elsewhere. Everybody who's ever touched radio has a radio picture. And I remember when I was on the college radio station, they had these big dials for the they call them pots. You know, you have pot up, pot down, and they're huge dials. And then sliders came in. Now we use sliders on the big board. But in fact, I remember my first slider board was when I worked in my first full-time commercial radio job when I was the night guy and Fritz Coleman was the afternoon guy, Buffalo, New York. I was mentioning that earlier. And that was my first, that was a big-time board. I was so excited. And here's something else I had. This was really cool. There was something called fold back. So you hit this button, and you don't need to wear headphones anymore. You can hear on the speakers. And because of something, Robin can probably explain this. I don't even know how this works. But there's an aspect to the way the sound is hitting the microphone that doesn't cause feedback. And it was called fold back. And you could use it instead of wearing microphone. I always wore the headphones, but that was the coolest thing. I'd seen it at a couple of big radio stations, and there it was in my first big full-time job at WKBW Radio. We had fold back. So cool. But here at KFI, at iHeartMedia, National Radio Day takes on a special significance. I haven't seen any particular celebrations going on, though, just to be honest. I think the social media celebration is really where most of the celebration is going on. But Sharon did post a really cool video on our Instagram, the Conway Show Instagram, so check that out. And I posted sort of a semi-good video also at Mark Thompson TV on Instagram. The closest I've ever come to being held hostage occurred in Mexico. And it was something I voluntarily walked into. In fact, I walked into it excitedly. It was a free brunch And all I had to do was be presented with a brief presentation about a timeshare. I was a young person on vacation, welcoming an opportunity at a free brunch, and so I went and soon realized that I was not going to be allowed out of there unless I really, really pitched a fit, which is not my way. So I will tell you that timeshare, there are a lot, the pitches have changed. They can be very convincing, very sometimes worth it. You know, I mean, I know some people at timeshares, they're happy if it's kind of like within the universe of other timeshares, swap out things. But oftentimes they can be difficult. And this is a story of the difficulty.
Trapped in a timeshare, an elderly couple claims they were duped by a major timeshare company and ended up with a surprise bill for more than $50,000. Boston 25's Cale Thompson talked to an industry insider about the best way to escape if you want out of your deal.
Sunshine. And these are people you understand have already been through the presentation. They bought in.
Sunshine
they can't
and
get out.
Fresh air. Right on the water in Daytona Beach shores, the Sea Club 4 Resort was the perfect place for Sandy and Joseph Parks to enjoy their timeshare, originally bought by Sandy's parents decades ago and fully paid for.
And we actually enjoyed it. Back when we had no money to take the kids on vacation, they would give us their week.
They still love it and were intrigued when two men from Capital Vacations suggested a change. According to Sandy, the salesman told them they could trade out their week for points, a move that would offer more options and flexibility to check out other Capital Vacations resorts.
Never once did they say that there was going to be any cost involved.
Weeks later, a surprise bill arrived that made them take another look at their contract. Turns out it was to purchase additional timeshares for more than $55,000.
Wow. Wow. Talk about blindsided. That is insane.
We about fell out of our seat.
Capital Vacations gets just over a 1-star rating on Yelp. Review after review issue warnings. We took the consumer concerns in these types of posts and from the parks to Capital Vacations. The company responded by email. At this time, we do not have a comment.
We don't like to respond on National Radio Day to any kind of questions about timeshares.
The company responded by email. At this time, we do not have a comment.
That is the number one complaint or the number one question we get is, hey, how do I get rid of my timeshare?
Brian Rogers runs the Timeshare Users Group, or TUG, with about 26,000 members on Facebook. The forum for sharing timeshare information has a lot of positive info, and Rogers himself has his own timeshare. But he agrees they can be hard to break up with. Here are your options. First, ask the company to let you off the hook. Just know you may get out of the relationship, but not get money back. Second, you can always see if someone will take it off your hands. But Rogers says expect to take a hit.
Now you're probably lucky to get between 0 and 10 cents on the dollar.
Third, there's the more extreme option. You can simply stop paying, but you should talk to a lawyer first to avoid financial or legal trouble.
It's a wild situation that there's no magic solution.
If your parents have a timeshare, you could end up on the hook for payments when they pass. So make sure you have a discussion and paperwork filed to disclaim the inheritance if you don't want that to happen.
That is brutal. It's nice to know that Tug is on the case. So, look, I have never had a timeshare, but I do know people who actually are enjoying their timeshare, so I don't think it's all bad. But it sounds like you got to periscope up and make sure that, you know, your deal is legit and that you're not getting blindsided.
You're listening to Tim Conway Jr. on demand from KFI AM 640.
Graffiti-filled building downtown, that high-rise. It's, I think it's set for auctioning of the property in September. So there'll be some kind of resolution. There have been all sorts of complications. You know, they ran out of money. They built this huge buildings. It's been graffitiized. It's been filled with, you know, homeless, with people hanging out there doing drugs. There are even some weird parties there. So they've got to pay creditors if they sell the property, which they will do. They'll sell it at auction. But it's a blight sort of on downtown Los Angeles right now, at least that part. And what's going to happen with it is of interest to a lot of people who care about downtown L.A.
The sale of those infamous graffiti towers in downtown L.A. is currently in limbo. You'll remember the Chinese company building the oceanwide plaza development went bankrupt in 2019. Taggers eventually breached the security fences around the abandoned property and covered both towers with graffiti. The new owner of the towers would be responsible for removing that graffiti, which may be why there's trouble finding a buyer. Experts say costs to clean up and complete the towers could reach upwards of $1 billion.
Yeah, $1 billion is what they're talking about, and it's 60% completed right now. I mean, the other thing that does happen is that, you've got to finish this tower, as we say, and there's a lot of construction to be done, and you're not doing it at a particularly good time because there are tariffs that are affecting construction materials and uncertainty about how long the tariffs are going to last, what new ones might arise. Labor costs have been increasing, so every year you wait, it's getting more expensive to employ people to build it. And then ICE and the raids have added this destabilizing effect on the construction labor pool. I mean, the people you have to draw on, that pool of candidates is getting rocked right now. So these are all things that are continuing to affect the future of this, this wonderful location, but, this horribly unsightly kind of building. So there's actually talk, and this probably occurred to many, as you see how there is, it's all been graffitiized, right? So much of it's been graffitiized. In fact, as you look at it, you go, guys, how do they get to that midway spot, down there? There's no, there's no, I guess what I'm trying to say is there's no way to safely navigate the outside of this building to graffitiize some of these areas that they've hit with graffiti and tagged, and yet they've done it. So the thinking is you could turn this building into commercial displays of one sort or another. You could fill this entire building with all kinds of, wrapping, like ad wrapping. Drape it and leave it. That's being talked about. I mean, I don't know how realistic it is, but it's one way you could go. Finish the building, buy it at auction and finish it, that's going to be a tough slog. But it is going to happen in September because that's for the auction is scheduled for September. Later with Mo Kelly is next, and Mo away, Chris Merrill filling in. My old pal, Chris Merrill. What's up with you, sir? How are you?
Well, I'm doing all right, although, if I'm honest, of course, people don't know this, but I'm actually in the KFI East studios.
Yeah.
And I saw your video about National Radio Day. And,
you probably have a good radio or origin story.
Yeah, kind of boring. But what struck me about your video was, what the hell is Crozier wearing? Could he find smaller shorts? Were those? Did he steal those from a junior high PE class?
Now, Crozier not on mic right now, but I just want to.
No, that's fine. This is even better.
In his defense, he's it's hot as Hades here. It's 104 degrees, and I'm sure that if he could not wear any shorts at all, he'd be happy. I mean, it's that level of heat.
I get it, and I think all of us are happy that he did elect to wear the shorts at all. I was very concerned with that when I saw it. I thought that is terrifying.
It does.
And I
pop.
feel bad.
It does pop.
Yes. It does. I feel bad for
in any video. That moment,
Mark Ronner
pops.
has to sit in that chair after him.
Oh, yeah. Well,
I was actually talking about early on my first radio gig. It started January of 2000, so it makes the math really easy for me. But I was doing a morning show at a small station in my hometown on 9/11. I was just talking about this today because we have so many interns around that weren't even born when 9/11 happened.
Yeah,
it's wild. I mean, we were talking about Katrina, and they were like, "Well, I was one when Katrina happened, but I wasn't even here for 9/11." Wow.
No, that is extraordinary. Yeah. Wow, what a day that had to be, man. What you talk about baptism by fire? Jeez.
Yeah, I mean, I think I've been full-time for about a year at that point. And I remember we went to, I mean, we had no idea what was going on. It was a small radio station. We didn't even have monitors in the studio. So our sales manager was running down the street to the kayak shop because they had a television. And she would jot down as many notes as she could because she was watching, the live TV news. And then she would run back up the hill and then deliver. Here's the latest. Here's the latest.
That is crazy.
Isn't that wild?
That is truly crazy. That is a good origin story. Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Well,
it really starts with I left college and my father said, well, the local radio station is hiring. You should go in there and put in an application. I said, okay. So that's how I ended up in
Thanks, Dad.
Yeah. Thanks, Dad.
Yeah. I started as a rock jock years ago. That's how
I believe it.
Yeah, sort
Did
of.
you have a rock name?
It's a music. No,
Big
I
Daddy
wish.
Mark T.
I wish. My pal Bean Baxter. He was on Kevin and Bean here in L.A. for years.
Yeah.
He had a great name. They called him because we came up at the same time. We were like we actually worked at the same radio station. We were young guys. And he was called Flash Phillips. On a rock station called, I think it was called Live 105 or something like that. It was a WAVA in Washington.
Did he pick his own name or was that?
I don't know. I forget. I think they gave it to him. I don't remember. But Bean Baxter was Flash Phillips.
Flash Phillips.
Yeah, Flash Phillips. All right. National Radio Day winds down. Chris Merrill next for Mo Kelly, and great talking to you, Chris.
Conway Show on demand on the iHeartRadio app. Now, you can always hear us live on KFI AM 640, 4 to 7 p.m. Monday through Friday, and anytime on demand on the iHeartRadio app.
If you eat too many ultra-processed foods, you could be starving your gut microbes, and they'll get hangry. That's one of many things I learned after working on a new audio course about the gut microbiome. You can learn how to keep your gut happy by listening to Try This from the Washington Post. I'm Christina Quinn. I host Try This. Dig in with me on practical advice for life's common challenges. Follow Try This right now wherever you're listening. Seriously, try it.